Hello, everybody. It's me, Nutty Professor, and once again, Happy New Year to everyone. To my very few but loyal viewers. Now, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm going to start with I am actually in excruciating pain because of a toothache. And for the people who, the few people who follow these, you'll know that I had a toothache a few weeks ago, went to the dentist, he prescribed antibiotics and Advil, not Tylenol 3 because I have had addictive issues. And it had worked, but now the pain is back with a vengeance. It may have been triggered by something that happened a couple of days ago, and that's what I want to talk about. I had a second recursion. So, just to recap, 19.5 months completely clear. Then when recursion sort of mid-September, and then 13 weeks clear, and another recursion, just a couple of, every time I talk, it's like the nerve there is just like, it's incredible. And I've been taking Advil. But, I don't want to exceed, kind of ironic, but I don't want to exceed the limit. And I've just been, I think I'm ready for another dose. And I think my dentist said 600 milligrams within 6 hours, something like that. And I think it's been 6 hours. So we'll give it another half an hour or so I might as well do this first. So, where was I? 19.5 months clear, one recursion, about 14 weeks. But again, those of you who follow this would know that 13 or 14 weeks has not been easy. The pulls have been very strong, but the push has held. Main pushes, of course, my 3 kids, but also the podcasts and COVID dangers out in the nightlife and all of that stuff, the various pushes. And I tried to rechannel. I spent a lot of time with the kids. I did the podcast. I read. I went to movies. I ate out a lot, but it's not enough, And a friend of mine who knows about the second recursion said, that she wasn't going to beat me up for it because she knows that I would be probably beating myself up for it. And as it so happened, the first day afterwards, I didn't really, as such, because there were circumstances and there was something, and I don't want to go into details on this, but there was something that happened during the thing that kind of, I think it was a necessary thing, but I'm not going to mention, if something might have helped somebody else. But again, I'm not going to talk about any of that, So, and I think kind of helped me in some ways too, So there is, and the werewolf did get fed, but in a very weird way. But again, I'm not going to share details of this, These are things that, I don't mind the personal part because I do share a lot of personal things, but these are things that involve other people. And if other people are involved, then I don't have the right, So I'll be as, unless I write it and I put the details in and then I alter everything and I go, this is a work of fiction or mostly fiction. So, but under these circumstances, I can't really, I don't want to provide any details. So it's kind of hard to talk about this, but at first, it seemed to be everything had worked out okay, and I came back after, when, everything is settled and I was able to drive and I had some rest and I came back to the kids, and the only thing is they had been left alone overnight, and I don't like that, Oh my God, I can't talk. There's so much pain, And as I said in an email to my friend this morning, I don't need to beat myself up for this last one. My body is doing it for me. At least my teeth. I'm getting beaten up like unbelievable. So I don't need to do it to myself. My own mouth is doing it. But anyway, I'm like it's done. The recursion was done. Now it's back to one point foot of the other, one day at a time, all of that stuff. And the babies and Agitha were alone overnight. Now, a lot of people, and even while I was on the recursion, somebody said, well, they're cats, They're not really your kids, They have instincts and they're animals and all of that stuff. And I'm like, but to me, they're my cats. They are my kids, I love them more than anything in the world. And I said that to somebody, and this person, and again, I won't say he or she for anonymity purposes. I'll just say somebody I encountered, he or she said, well, that's wrong because, your cats should certainly not be the most important thing to you in the world. You're devaluing yourself. And I'm like, it's complicated, and as you know from Patap, the number one reason that I am making the effort, and that I did 19.5 months, and then I did 13 weeks, and that I've come up with Patap because rehab doesn't work for me and 12 steps don't work for me. So I came up with my own so-called system. Sort of works, but there are recursions, there are excursions, there are relapses. So this was the second one in, if you're putting it all together, in about 23 months. So, it's not to say that the system isn't, quote, working, unquote, but, the thing is that the number one reason on my list to turn back, to not turn into a daily user, my children, and they are children to me, and I love them more than anything in the world, and I know other people who love their cats as much as if they were human children, So I've come back. I come back for them. They were alone overnight, and some people will go, yeah, they had food, they had water, they were there. Two of them were together in one room with litter box and toys. The other one is very solitary, had the run of the apartment, had her litter box, had her food. She's not much interested in toys, but and you were gone like 24 hours or whatever. It's no big deal. But to me it is, to me it is, to me that shows how powerful that other thing was, that I would leave my children alone, overnight, and particularly the babies, because they were not used to it, even though there's two of them. So anyway, I got back. And the emergency developed with Agitha. The very next day, she had, and it was not because of my absence, but this has been happening for a couple of weeks now, that poo had built up at her rear end in her long hair. And getting older, she can't, clean herself properly, So about a few months ago, a friend of mine very, very kindly came to help, and Agitha just turns into a demon. She turns into, Linda Blair from The Exorcist. She's like practically, everything but the pea soup. She's singing, she's snarling, and she's fighting, and you try to cut her nails, and you try to clean up at her rear end. But last time my friend had brought over special bite-proof gloves. This time the adoption center was closed, so I used oven mitts, but my friend is the one who did the work. She climbed into the playpen while I held Agitha, she has a demon name now. We actually named her after the last, after the time my friend helped me, and it's Cordiva, and Cor was actually the Greek goddess of the harvest. And it was her daughter, Persephone, that was kidnapped by Hades and then was allowed to come back, but only for 6 months because she ate a pomegranate seed. But anyway, she had been to the underworld and came back, And the other one, she is a diva. She's very much a diva. So anyway, so we met Cordiva yesterday, and she just was like in full force. But thanks to my friend, she actually climbed in the playpen, and I was holding this. Agitha was snarling and biting and hissing, and my friend trimmed her her hair, and we had to take a couple of breaks. And I was roasting because I had to do it in my big overcoat, one of my 5 times oversized coats, because otherwise they'd have got bit. We didn't have the gloves that go up to here, the bite gloves, you know. So anyway, that happened yesterday. My friend came over at the last minute, you know, and she did this for me, and I'm eternally grateful to her. You know, I could never have done this, you know. So that was one thing. And then afterwards, I had, I dropped my friend back, and I had something to eat, and the toothache just went out of control, just completely out of control, you know. So I've been popping Advils. I think I'm going to have to take another couple soon, you know. So anyway, I've been thinking about this whole excursion thing. As I said, my friend said, don't, you know, she thinks that I'm going to be beating myself up over it, which I usually do, and I sort of am, but then I'm sort of not, you know. As I said, I'm being beaten up for it, you know, by my body, you know. Now, the hard part is the return, and I'm here, and I'm with and it was the first thing when I got home was just the relief that I was safe and that my kids were okay, and that, you know, I gave them wet food. They had dry food. I gave them wet food, and the babies were extra cuddly that night. Last night they were very restless, you know. I think it's kind of a bit of a delayed reaction now, and they probably sense that I'm in a lot of pain. And Agita was really relieved after my friend came, you know. So at least her pain is kind of over, you know, but mine is just going on, you know. So, but my as I said on the excursion, some of the people I talked to were like, you know, they don't see the problem. They go, you know, you have resources, you have funds, you know, and it's nice that you can come on the occasional, to our world, you know, and then go back. And I said that very thing in the last podcast. Remember, in the last one about the recursions, I said that very thing. I said, look, this is a luxury, you know. I have a luxury condo I can return to. I have a family. My 3 cats. People I've met can't have pets because, you know, of circumstances and, you know, very transient lifestyle, you know. So I'm like, I said it myself that my situation is nothing compared to the daily users, you know, nothing, you know. They don't have a luxury condo to come back to. They don't have the family. They don't have civilian friends, you know. Most of them don't, you know. Most of them, you know, it's the kind of world where it's very hard to have friends, you know. So I'm back, and I'm here, and I'm safe. And that's the other thing. Those environments are not very safe, and I get high security building here, so I'm safe. You know, I can go to my dentist tomorrow, day after. I can get medications. I can get the work done. But in that world, any little thing is so difficult, you know. So I do realize this, and remember a long time ago, an early podcast, I had said I'd called myself a tourist in that world, and somebody else told me from that world, from the underworld, told me, you're not a tourist, because, you know, when you come, it's very hard for you to leave, you know. And this person, I think, kind of understood that it was not that easy for me because, and this is the point I'm going to make now, is that the past 13 weeks, what the denizen of the nightlife said to me, what this person, he or she, doesn't quite get because they don't watch the podcast, is how difficult the last 13 weeks has been for me, because every day I have to fight the cravings, you know. And that's the problem with having resources, is that, you know, I don't have to go do something to make money. I just have to go to bank machines and you know, juggle accounts, you know. So that's what, you know, and withdraw, you know. So, I mean, it's finite, it's not infinite, but, you know, but I don't have to go, you know, generate funds in legal or illegal ways, you know. So I'm like, you know, in a way that has made it every day. So I have to, like, rechannel, I have to go, you know, see movies, I have to do this, do that. But to somebody who lives that lifestyle, a daily struggle for survival, that's like a luxury. That's like they don't get it, and I don't blame them. I really don't. So, but for me, fucking tough. And I'm back to one day at a time, one point in front of the other. But I will do this. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. And hello, everybody. It's me again. It's a couple of hours later, and I'm in slightly better shape than I was in the ego chair because the pain has gone down from excruciating to unbearable. But obviously I'm bearing it, but it's I think unbearable is less than excruciating. But anyway, I think the Advils are finally kicking in, and I took another one. But I'm trying to keep within that heuristic of 600 milligrams, 6 hours. As far as I know, I think I'm keeping within that. But anyway, I wanted to add some things here and then see if I can post. So there's one of the kids, babies, sitting next to me on the sofa. Agita on her perch, and third kid, so second baby, is there, okay, on the bed, with the door wide open. So this is basically family together this time. Everyone is choosing their own space, and this is such a huge step forward for our family that anyone who has been watching my podcast know that this is something that I have been waiting for over a year and a half. We've had little bits of it here and there, but there's several hours of all four of us sharing the condo without anyone being, in a room with the door shut. It's just incredible to me, and it almost makes up for all the other shit that I've been through over the past 3 days. Just being here, having returned. So back to my model, borrowed from Campbell, my model of the return of the quote hero, unquote, or anti-hero, or adventurer, or struggler, whatever you want to call it, the return of the adventurer to the ordinary world, from the underworld, or again from the alternate world. I don't like under because it's a whole under over thing. So from the alternate world where the rules are slightly different, the struggles are much more intense. So having returned here to the ordinary world, and I have returned, as I've said before, for my family, for the kids, and that's what I was trying to explain in the segment on the ego chair. And I don't blame them. People who are struggling from, one fix to the next in that world, and from $1 to the next, to them, my going on about my struggles is almost nonsensical, But at the same time, as I have said before, in a way, it's more dangerous for me because if I was to turn into a daily user, at this point, there would be no breaks, I would just keep going and going and going. And, at this age, I probably wouldn't last very long. But you never know. I mean, people like William S. Burroughs and others, well, Burroughs stopped and then he started again. But anyway, the whole point here is that I've returned to I'm just starting to readjust. And this time it was a particularly rocky, return, because of the toothache, because of the actual physical pain for once, really, really bad physical pain. And then I've had problems and then the whole thing with Agita and my friend who so kindly helped us out. And then I've had problems with taping and trying to make space, and I have to, and a friend of mine helped me with it yesterday, the one who came to help with the Gita, and she's been helping me via text, and I'm just deleting at this point. I think some of the stuff is getting backed up and some isn't, but, the podcasts are already up, so if there's some material from those, it's getting deleted, fine. So, but I think I've kind of figured out how to save onto the cloud. My relative had set up an account for me, and I'm fumbling my way through it. So, the whole tech thing is not my thing. But it's been a rocky return, even though the binge itself was in some ways, more, I don't want to say the term positive, because that's, again, positive, negative, and, but it sort of did, there were benefits for, I think, in it, but, and that's not to rationalize, but that was, there was some learning for me, and might have been some benefits for some other person. I want to go into further detail on this. I don't know, So anyway, but at this point, I'm back, and I want to stay back. So I'm back to one day at a time, point for to the other, and, I can't emphasize this enough, I have said this so many times, but the life of the, daily, the daily user, and again, I'm careful with terms. And sometimes I'm careful with terms, and then other people get upset because I was careful with a term, and then I said the wrong term, But I've tried to come up with my own judgment-free language, but I realize there's no such thing, But anyway, I don't like the term addict, which is the term that they use in 12 steps, and, recovering addict. I don't like that term. I've tried to come up with struggler, turning back struggler, non-turning back struggler. I'm not thrilled with that either, I really am not, but, but the non-turning back struggler, the addict not in recovery, it's the toughest life one can ever imagine. I'm not romanticizing it, and, I have a lot of admiration for people who survive, and it is the most basic form of survival. So I can see why they look at me and they go, what? You've got everything. You've got a place to live. You've got cats. You've got cars. You've got houses. You've got, you've got funds. I mean, limited, but I've got RSPs, and I don't have to, go do anything illegal or make money in certain ways. I can just access my RSPs, and in a way, that's what I've been saying. That's a bit more dangerous, because then the control is entirely on me. And when I'm on a binge, when I'm in the underground, it's really, really hard to stop. So far we're at excursion 2, recursion 2, and it's a new year, and this is what I've come back for, and it's well worth coming back for. It's worth the effort. It's worth everything, in spite of what some people may say. Oh, they're just cats. They're not just cats. They're my family, and they're very intuitive, sentient creatures, And there's the other one. So, from the slightly battered, not literally, but the, a bit of wear and tear on this one. But at least I get it over with before the, before the new year. Yeah, but there's no guarantees, it's like one day at a time, one point in front of the other, and I do, and a friend of mine did say, you must get really frustrated with how hard you work at it, and then you're right back, and I go, yes, I do get frustrated at times, I do, but, I'm going to keep going. There's a line from the Beckett play, Waiting for Godot, and I saw a version of that at the end of Drive My Car, based on the book by Murakami, but it's like, I can't go on, I'll go on. But they were waiting for Godot. And I'm not waiting for that entity. I'm not, I'm here in the ordinary world with, and it kind of came up. I was holding with cats, and I did say to someone, the ancient Egyptians worshipped cats as gods, and I'm like going, oh, this person was like, oh, you think your cats are gods? And I'm going, not literally, but to me they are, they are divine creatures, right? Anyway. That's it. I'm rambling incoherently. If anyone's still listening to me, it's been rough, but I'm back and I'm going to stay back, long as I can, So, bye for now. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post this one, and then I'm going to post it's going to be like a prequel. So it's going to be, I'm going to do this one first, and then I'm going to do part one. So, and then you'll see the kind of events of the ordinary world leading up to just before New Year's when I had the excursion. Okay? Bye for now from 1 2. If I actually kiss them, they will leap up. They're not into that kind of thing, And 3. And from the returning Nutty Professor, the nuttiest of professors. And talk to you soon, okay? Bye for now.